pathetic.
Let's move away from Philadelphia. Let's go on to the receivers, top 10 of those. We got Cooper Kupp at 1, Tyreek Hill 2, DEEBO at 3, Devontae Adams 4, Williams 5, Mike Williams, that is. Number 6, Antonio Brown. Number 7, Jamar Chase. Justin Jefferson's at 8, Marquise Brown at 9, and Deontay Johnson at 10. Who do we got as some of our surprises up here?
We've got some names to talk about here. I just want to briefly say Cooper Kupp's number 1. He gets force-fed the ball from Stafford. So when we look at this, it's not totally crazy, but most people didn't draft him to be there, to be the number 1 wide receiver in the league this year. So I'd say that's pretty cool. Looking at number 3 on the list, we've got DEEBO Samuel. Dude's killing it. He gets all the opportunities in the offense right now. Brandon Ayuk is non-existent, so that helps him out a lot.
That's why he's doing it.
And then you look at tight end George Kittle is kind of not there either. So
as long as they're out, IR at the moment.
Yeah, as long as they're not playing, Debo's probably still going to remain there.
Yep. Also at number 5, we got Mike Williams, and that's also going to be one that surprises most people because everyone thought it was Keenan Allen in that offense, and Keenan Allen's actually sitting at 16 right now, which is way lower than expected because, frankly, Keenan Allen's targets haven't been what they usually been. I mean, usually he's averaging like 160 a game. And sorry, not 16 for Keenan Allen, 26. I said that wrong. He has 58 targets through the games, but he only has 39 catches. So it's like, usually at this point in the season, you see Keenan Allen with 50 catches, and that's where all his points come from, but he ain't doing it this year. Mike Williams, on the other hand, he also has 56 targets. He's up there with targets, but he's catching the bombs, and he's catching the touchdowns for them. He has 6 touchdowns through these games and 500 yards. And he's had 2 games where he completely dudded, too. So it's kind of crazy to think that he's that high on the list still.
Good old Mike Williams. No, he's killing it this year. Let's move a little further down the list. Our boy, DeAndre Hopkins. Stone, I know you have some stuff to say, so
can I bring up a surprise real quick in the top 10?
Sure.
Marquise Brown. I feel like coming into this year, there's not a chance that anybody would have picked him as a top 10 receiver through 6 weeks. But outside of Mason, I also really don't think anybody expected this type of progression, I guess, in the passing game from Lamar. He's killing it right now, and most people would expect it to be the run game. But honestly, I think his rushing numbers are down quite a bit. And Marquise Brown, he's just kind of been the one in that offense. I know Mark Andrews, he's also up there, top of his position, or I guess top 3, top 4 of his position at tight end. But yeah, Marquise Brown to me, it's just, I think I even made a trade early on in the season in one of my leagues, him, and it was some guy kept trying to trade, and I'm just like, I don't want any of your trades. They're not very good. And he ended up offering me Marquise Brown for Jacoby Myers, and I was just like, maybe if I accept it, it'll be done with, whatever, he'll stop trying to trade. Didn't happen, but it got me Marquise Brown, and he's been one of the highlights of my offense. So
let's go.
Yeah, Hollywood's
I love Marquise
almost
Brown.
Undrafted in some leagues too. Like he was going very late in drafts. So
he's a 3rd-year wide receiver.
Yeah,
but
I do want to talk
we'll
about
keep
Hopkins because Mason's got me riled up on this topic. DeAndre
Yeah.
Hopkins is the best receiver in the NFL, and if you look at targets per all these guys at the top of the league, like say Devontae Adams with 66, or Mike Williams with 56, or Justin Jefferson with 59, these guys all have these insanely good stats. And then you got Hopkins, who has, everyone's probably saying is underperforming. He still has 6 touchdowns. He has 26 catches on that too, so he's pretty much averaging a touchdown every 4 catches he gets, which is good because that's about as many targets as he's getting a game. He is down at 38 targets compared to all these elite receivers, and he is still number 15 in the NFL. He has almost 30 less targets than Devontae Adams, who is his rival as top receiver in the NFL. It's not really a comparison to make anymore because, I mean, you can't compare 2 guys who are nowhere even close together in the amount of targets that they receive in their offense. If DeAndre Hopkins had around 60, 70 targets like these guys had, he'd have 12 touchdowns and around the same amount of yardage. So, I don't know, man. Kyler Murray just needs to get the op involved.
You know, this scares me a little bit. I think me and Stone have differing opinions on this, but, you know, I love DeAndre Hopkins so much. I think 100% they need to get him 10 targets a game. They just need to force feed him the ball. But they are not. They have so many options on that offense right now. Kyler Murray's doing a decent job of spreading the ball around. Kind of scares me moving forward. Can DeAndre Hopkins keep up this with minimal targets? Probably. But I don't know moving forward. Maybe we'll have to talk about that in another video. Potential trade
runs
targets.
a little hitch route for like 2 yards and then has 3 defenders all over him with no blockers and just scores a touchdown. It's just
No, the dude's
so
insane,
elite,
man.
so elite.
He's insane. It's sad, but we'll move on from that. Number 19 on the list, Scary Terry McLaurin, ladies and gentlemen. Another guy we hyped up in the offseason. I hyped him up probably the most. Not doing what we expected him to. That offense, it got shook when Fitzmagic got taken out early on, but his backup Heineke's been doing a good job. Scary Terry's had some good games. He's also had some duds, so I don't know what to think about that moving forward.
I'll be honest, it might have been a blessing in disguise that Ryan Fitzpatrick went down, because in that first game, he did not look very good at all. Him trying to pass the ball, he almost looked like Peyton Manning at the end of his career, where he could barely throw it 15, 20 yards downfield. Yeah. He just looked like he had to exert way too much effort into any of the pass attempts. And Taylor Heineke, he's come out and he showed that he can be an NFL quarterback. Now, I'm not saying he's putting up huge numbers and keeping them in games, but he's playing almost like an elite game manager, not just a regular game manager trying to help him win it. Like, he's doing just a little bit more than what most game managers could and would do to keep them in games. His rushing, it's nothing close to Kyler and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and that. But I mean, he showed the ability to be able to run that offense, and the fact that we already talked about Antonio Gibson not being involved very much, it's very surprising that he's not leaning on Scary Terry.
Yeah,
he did the first few weeks. The first few weeks he was throwing to him 15 times a game, but he's kind of slowed that down recently. He's kind of progressed.
I expected a bigger game versus Kansas City. They lost 13-31, and teams have proven that they can torch Kansas City's defense. Maybe Kansas City just turned it on last week. I'm not sure.
Fun stat, Kansas City's defense, they are still, after only allowing 13 points to Washington, the number 29th ranked defense in the NFL, I believe, or 30th. It's one of the two.
Yeah, I was going to say they gave up like four 30-point games already this year, plus 29 in like week 1. But Washington also got 2 interceptions on him. So, and that's something that's also surprising is Patrick Mahomes, he basically leads the league in interceptions right behind Zach Wilson with 9, who's a rookie. So that defense is it's on the field quite a bit, and it's been torched a lot.
Yes, it has.
It has been. Let's go ahead and move on. Stephon Diggs, sitting at wide receiver number 27, was drafted around the likes of Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins. He is not performing. That offense is spreading the ball out. Emmanuel Sanders, I think, is taken away from it. Dawson Knox is taken away from it a little bit. They were like one of the last ranked.
Zach Moss and Singletary even taking away from it as well. It's crazy to think that Stephon Diggs is just catching everything underneath, which is usually what he does, but he's not getting the 11 catches he got a game last year. That's really separated him. And he hasn't gotten the touchdowns either. He only has 1 so far. And I think he had it like week 1 or 2. So he's been very slow this week. Or this year, sorry.
Yeah, moving forward, I don't know what to do with the guy. He'll probably be okay. There's a big shadow in your background. Oh, that just freaked me out. I thought it was a ghost or something. Probably just Mac in the window, right?
No, it actually might be if it's up here on the side.
I just saw a big shadow. I was like, what is going on there? All right. That's probably enough on Diggs. Oh, I missed a guy. Keenan Allen. No, Stone, you talked about him already, sitting at number 26. Yeah, we don't have to keep going with that. Let's go Robert Woods, number 28.
Yep, right after Stephon Diggs. I think this is largely just due to Matthew Stafford just absolutely falling in love with Cooper Kupp and forgetting that he had a better receiver on his team.
Yeah. And,
better receiver? You think Bobby Trees is better overall?
Yeah, I think he's a more reliable receiver.
That's fair.
It's weird, I mean, I think Kupp
extremely good. Like they're both elite.
Extremely good. I think I don't know what to think about that. I don't want to step on any Rams fans' hearts, but I think Robert Woods is great, and I think Kupp is great. I don't think there's not a need to force it to Woods in that offense. So we'll just keep winning games like we are, and we'll see y'all in the Super Bowl. See you later. Let's
Okay.
move way
We'll see.
down the list. Paul, who do you
I don't
think is
want to do it.
Who do you think
I don't
is
want
wide
to do it.
receiver number 71?
I don't want to do it.
We hyped him up crazy in the
Ah.
offseason. We said this guy was going to be just money. Draft him. The rest, you just put him in your lineup every week.
We said he was money if Andy Dalton was playing.
Yeah, true.
I don't think I said that, but yeah, it's Allen Robinson. If you guys haven't figured it out yet, it's a tragedy what's happening. And I mean, even when Dalton was in the lineup, he had a touchdown on a slant, but I think he had like 24 yards in that game. The passing offense is just not there at all for Chicago. They've tried to rely on the run game in so many of their games so far to dictate whether keeping their defense off the field as much as they can to keep them rested, because that's really the only way they're staying in games. David Montgomery, through 4 weeks, was an absolute monster. And then he got the knee injury. Khalil Herbert, he came in, his first career start, 97 rushing yards. I think he had maybe 2 or 3 catches as well, a touchdown. He had a second 16-yard touchdown called back on a holding penalty late in the game. I mean, they're utilizing the run game a lot. And I think
they have to.
I don't necessarily know if it's
Fields
trying to. Well, see, that's the thing. I don't know if they're trying to keep a lot of the pressure off of Justin because they don't think he's ready, whether he might not be ready literally or just kind of they're trying to baby him and take baby steps to get to where he needs to be. But I know me and Stone had talked about this a little bit. He's not sticking with his reads very much. It's points in the game where he's trying to run too much, but he's also trying not to run enough at certain points. He's trying to force feed other places, but he has a real connection with Darnell Mooney. I think these two are going to grow together substantially, which for me absolutely sucks because I love Allen Robinson. I expect 15 points a game from Allen Robinson. I mean, we've seen what he's done with the likes of Blake Bortles and Chase Daniels and Mitch Trubisky and all these other quarterbacks that he's had in his past, that he still put up big numbers. And for some reason, playing with two of the better quarterbacks, and I can't really say Justin Fields, I guess, is the better of the quarterback, but Andy Dalton, a better quarterback that he's had for most of his career, and that offense is just in complete shambles in the passing game. I don't know whether to credit that to Bill Lazor. I don't know whether to credit it to Matt Nagy. But it's almost to the point where Allen Robinson is barely a flex starter. And if you have better options, you might even have to sit him. As much as that sucks to say.
Want to hear something crazy? In a league that me and my roommate run, somebody dropped him.
Oh my god.
That's how bad it's been. But it's like it's understandable. If you're not a big fantasy person,
yeah,
you just play like in a 10-person league of people you know, it's still money league. But like if you see somebody's a receiver 71, why would you want them on your roster? I told my buddy pick him up immediately, and we did. So now we have Allen Robinson. But like it's just like I don't know, man. It's been rough. And then
it's brutal to watch, especially as a Bears fan.
Yep. Mason, who's our last receiver that we're gonna go ahead and talk about here?
We can go ahead and talk about A.J. Brown. Another one that was drafted freakishly high. I don't want to say freakishly, but he was drafted high and in terms of being probably your number one wide receiver or number two. He's wide receiver 84. We kind of mentioned it earlier with Tannehill. This offense is ran through Derrick Henry, and I don't know what to expect from A.J. Brown moving forward. I really don't.
Essentially nothing. I mean, it's crazy to think he's missed a couple games, but you look at his targets and receptions, it is 25 targets, and he has 10 catches through 6 games this year, and he was supposed to be a lot of teams receiver 1 or receiver 2. It's absolutely absurd. He has killed me in 3 leagues because he was one of my favorite receivers for the last few years. I mean, he's always kind of been like, it's weird, he's been a boom bust like deep ball guy, or quick slant guy that just takes it 80 yards, but he's always consistently done it like every single week that he's been in the league. So it's like you expected it to happen again this year, and it's just he has been a complete no-show. Could it be to injuries? Maybe. I don't really know. It's just tough. It's tough because I love the guy so much and draft him in the 3rd round, and now he's producing like he's a undrafted receiver that you pick up off the waivers.
I think a lot of it has to do with, like you said, it's the injuries, but also them bringing in Julio, who's dealing with the same thing, injuries. Going back to both of them having hamstring issues right now. Obviously, I think Julio might be playing tonight as well as A.J. Brown, but they both missed the last 2 games with injury. It's just that offense, that passing offense, I guess, because like Mason said, it runs through Derrick Henry, literally. And when you're getting 40 rush attempts, 35 rush attempts a game, that's almost half of your game script right there.
Yeah.
Most teams, I guess, offensively only get about 70 to 75 plays a game. And if you're rushing it 35 to 40 times, I mean, how are you going to be able to spread the ball to multiple big play receivers? And maybe that's why we're seeing that he only has 25 targets within the 4 games or whatever that he's played. Technically 3, I guess, because tonight would be the 4th. Yeah, it's definitely baffling because, like you said, it's somebody that was drafted pretty high, definitely ahead of his counterpart Julio, who has been a freak receiver for so many years in the league. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's not hitting that sophomore slump. Maybe he's hitting a 3rd-year slump. Maybe it's just that offense losing Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator. Who knows? It could be a plethora of things, but as of right now, it sucks to watch because, like you said, I love A.J. Brown. He was one of my biggest pickups in the Dynasty League that we had 2 years ago.
Yep. Yeah, just a quick reminder that this is before the Monday night game, so when this is posted, it'll most likely be either Tuesday or Wednesday, and maybe he has a big game. Who knows? Not 100% sure, but what I do know right now is that he is ranked just behind, in terms of average points per game, behind Cedric Wilson of the Dallas Cowboys. That would be a 3rd-string receiver.
Hey, Cedric Wilson had a good game yesterday.
Yep, and that's the only reason that he's above A.J. Brown. That's crazy to think, right? He's just one spot above Deshaun Jackson, the 4th-string receiver.
Oh, my Deshaun Jackson.
So if that gives you
who had one good game, yeah.
If that gives you an indicator of how bad they've been, it's crazy.
It's rough.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening to this. This is going to be a podcast episode. It's been pretty long, so if you guys enjoyed this, let's go ahead and check our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter out. We are the Fantasy Few on all of those platforms. And go ahead, and if you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, comment down below who you think the best receiver is in the NFL right now. Cooper Kupp, he's like, stat-wise he's the best, but like, is he the best? Like, who's showing that they're the best receiver right now? I'd say Davante Adams, but if DeAndre Hopkins had targets, then he would be the best. My humble opinion.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening to this. Mason, if you want to break us out, go ahead and break it out.
Well, as usual, Fantasy Few out, baby. Let's go.